create ArcGraphic component in exercise 6. Let's move to the branch 6 and check what we have to create ArcGraphic. I ran the project and I got this map rendered, and I have a graphic layer, and there is marker rendered also. So all that rendered through GraphicsLayer. Let's check in the app, graphic layer, and I can find the point created here with the sample, and the graphic created here also, and added to the graphics layer. So I need to refactor all that code and move it to a new component called graphic. So I created a folder for the new component called the graphic, and let's create file for our component and the access point for this component also, called index. Inside this file, I will create a very basic function, a React function, and I will call it ArcGraphics. So as you can see, I have here use effect with return, which represent the mounting and unmounting of this component, and I will save it. I need to export that through the access point. I will do that in the index file, and I will also export that through the access point of all components. So now all good. First thing I will do it right now to use the new component inside the app file. So to use it, I will use it as a children for the ArcGraphics layer, because the ArcGraphics layer will contains all the graphics, all type of the graphics. So I will make ArcGraphics layer as a parent, add my new components here. Also I should import it, so I will update the importance of ArcGIS components. In ArcGraphics layer, the TypeScript has objection that the component doesn't has children property. So I will back to a graphics layer and create interface that will include the children property optional of type React Node, and I will use this interface to for the properties of the component. I will destructure children from the props in the beginning of the function, and I will render those children inside the fragment. Let's refresh our project and check what we got right now. You will notice that our new graphic component render inside the graphic layer, and that's a good change. Okay, next step is refactor the code. So we will move starting from creating the point, creating the sample, creating the graphic, even adding the graphic, this graphic to the graphic layer to our new component. So I will cut this code, move to ArcGraphic, and add it in the mounting of this component. Don't forget to move the imports also. Save. Now all good. Okay, now I need to share the graphics layer state between those two components. So I will create a context for graphics layer. So I will call this context will call graphics layer context, and I will create this context here using create context, and I will export this context through the access point of context folder. All good now. So I will move right now to graphics layer. Oh, I'm sorry, I did a mistake. That's I added the file to the ArcGraphic layer. I should put that in the context. So I will move this folder here to the context, and also I will move the export. You remove that here, the graphic. So I will export that here in this access point. So now all good. Save all files. Back again to graphics layer. Okay, in the graphic layer here, I will provide all those children with my graphic state here. So I will use the context, graphics context. Okay, let me import it from context and provide my children with it. Close the tag and add value prop as an object, which will provide them with graphic layer. I will copy that and paste it here. Save. Nice. I will move now to graphic to consume this context. So to consume, I will use context function hook. So I will come here in the inside my component and write use context. Don't forget to import it, and also import the context here, graphics context, and you can use graphic layer. Okay, let me create another use effect here. Okay, in this use effect, I will add the graphic to the graphic layer. So I will move it here. This will call okay, no problem. Let me change this name to, or keep it graphic point, but I will need to create the instance, the state here called graphic. This is my state. So after I create it in the mounting the graphic, I need to set it inside my state. In case this state, which called the graphic, it changed, please run this use effect. Also, if the graphic layer it changed, please run this use effect. And before run it, please make sure both of them is exist. So if the graphic doesn't exist or graphic layer doesn't exist, please don't continue and return. Okay, and here I will add my graphic. All good. So I have now an exception of TypeScript, which asked me, the TypeScript told me I inferred this like undefined because I initialized with undefined, but now you put graphic. So I will tell him, yes, it may be the value graphic type or undefined. So I will save that, and here also the context need to define this property inside it. So I will back to the context and create interface for my graphics layer context, which this interface will include graphics layer. I will call this graphics layer context and tell him this object as this type. Save. Here inside the graphics layer, I should make sure that graphic layer value exists to render it. So here add, and if graphic layer exists, please render this. Okay, let me check what I did my mistake. Okay, again copy. If there is value inside the graphics layer, then please render. I will need to add all that inside a fragment and save all of it. Yeah. Now all good. Let's do hard reload and check that our map rendered and our graphic also rendered successfully. That's it.